On my birthday, I found a card tucked into my coat pocket. It was from my wife. Surprise! I'm leaving you tonight. The house, the dog, the car, they're mine now. As I looked up, I heard our garage door slam. She took everything. Even the steak I was grilling. I didn't chase. I didn't call. 72 hours later, her new boyfriend had kicked her out and she was sobbing outside my job, holding the cold card. Please answer. The card smelled like her perfume. That synthetic lavender she knew gave me migraines. It was wedged inside the pocket of my winter coat, which she'd hung up for me when I came back in to grab tongs. 1 second I was flipping steaks in the yard, thinking about how quiet birthdays get after 30. The next, I'm staring at handwriting I used to find sexy, now spelling out my erasure. Surprise! I'm leaving you tonight. The house, the dog, the car, they're mine now. Don't try to reach me. There wasn't even a signature. I walked into the kitchen and everything was gone. The fridge wide open like someone had yanked out all the contents in a frenzy. My grilled steak? The one I was marinating for 3 days? Plate. Gone. Grill lid shut tight like it never happened. The garage door slammed before I could process it. She took everything. Our wedding photos. The good towels. My toothbrush. Even the dog biscuit. 13 years old. Arthritis. Afraid of stairs. She dragged him into whatever fantasy she was sprinting toward, tail between his legs. I didn't call her. I didn't scream. I just sat on the kitchen floor, empty house humming around me like a fridge that doesn't realize no one's there anymore. I stayed like that until the light from the backyard motion sensor blinked off. The first night was numb. The second was bitter. By the third, I was just waiting for the sound of keys scratching at the front lock. Instead, I got her. Outside my job. She looked like a dead houseplant. Hair unwashed. Mascara dried into cobwebs. She was standing by the parking lot dumpster holding the birthday card like it was radioactive. Like it betrayed her. Her lips cracked when she spoke. Please answer. I don't have anywhere else. She was wearing the hoodie I thought I'd lost last fall. My hoodie. That was the first moment I realized she never planned to leave gently. She wanted to be caught mid-flight. Wanted a chase. A narrative. But I never gave her one. I just shut the door behind her. And now? Now she was unraveling in front of my windshield. I didn't roll it down. I didn't blink. But I sure as hell listened. Because what she said next changed everything. Update 1. She stood there gripping the card like it was evidence, not a weapon she'd crafted. Like I'd forced her to write it. Like she hadn't planned this months in advance. I stayed in my car. Engine off. Radio on static. My hands were resting on the steering wheel like I was waiting for a green light that would never come. Please, she said again, voice cracking. I didn't know where else to go. I messed up. Just please talk to me. I finally stepped out. Not because I wanted to comfort her. I wanted to see her eyes. Really see what was left behind the layers of self-made collapse. She looked like someone who had played God and lost her own worshippers. I'm not your last resort, I said. Not after what you did. She dropped the card. Then came the tears. The real ones. The kind that stain your cheeks like rust. She crumbled to the asphalt, knees hitting hard enough to echo in the empty lot. I thought he loved me, she said. I thought he promised me, he said you were pathetic. That I'd been wasting my life with a man who settles. He had a Tesla. He had a sauna in his condo. He made me feel like I was chosen. The word chosen almost made me laugh. She picked the man she thought had a better PR team. Not a better heart. Just a better Instagram story. He kicked me out, she said. Said I was too clingy. Said I needed serious help. I didn't even know where he went. His doorman said he left for Europe. I waited. I wanted the full breakdown. No shortcuts. She continued, shaking. I used your money to pay for the first week at the Airbnb we were gonna stay in. He said he'd reimburse me. I drained our joint account. Our joint account. The one I'd been building quietly for a down payment. The one she once joked was just play money. Gone. What about Biscuit? I asked. She froze. I had to leave him at a friend's. It was just for the weekend. I was gonna pick him up but you didn't. I didn't know he'd bail. I thought I had time. I didn't. He's still at the place. I swear. I walked to the passenger side and opened the door. Get in, I said. We're going to get the dog. Her relief hit me like a stench. No, I added. You don't live with me. You don't stay with me. This isn't a reunion. We're just rescuing someone who didn't ask for any of this. The drive was silent except for her quiet sniffling. She reached to touch the radio. Don't, I said. 20 minutes later, we pulled into the kind of neighborhood where Teslas look like beaters. Rows of condos that all smelled like money and shame. She led us to a unit where the porch light had been on for 3 days straight. The friend who answered the door looked at me like I was the guy who'd come to repossess a mistake. You're here for the mutt, she asked. That word. I didn't reply. Just stepped past her into the tiled hallway. Biscuit was in a crate. No blanket. No toys. No water. The crate smelled like piss and something worse. I knelt down, opened the gate. He whimpered once, then launched into my arms like he'd been holding his breath for 72 hours. His legs shook so hard I thought they'd snap. I carried him out. Didn't look back. She followed behind like a shadow that hadn't decided if it wanted to exist anymore. In the car, I wrapped Biscuit in my coat and let him rest on my lap. She tried to say something. I raised a hand. Don't you dare explain. He's 13. And you locked him in a crate while you played dress-up with a man who wouldn't even split rent. Her voice was barely a whisper. I thought he'd be better. I laughed. Once. Dry. He was never better. He was just newer. You thought I was a placeholder. A test version. We pulled into my driveway, my new driveway. She didn't recognize it. She blinked. Wait, this isn't, where's? I sold the house. After you left. Cleaned out everything. Took what was mine. Bought this. It's mine now. And guess what? I opened the door. You're not on the deed. She stayed seated. Can I just come in for 5 minutes? I haven't eaten. I haven't showered. I just need to breathe. I looked down at Biscuit, who was curled up in my arms, finally asleep. No, I said. You've had enough air. It's time you learn what silence really feels like. She got out slowly like a busted puppet. Started walking down the street, not even asking for a ride. I watched until she turned the corner. Then I closed the door. But it wasn't over. Because the next day I got a letter. Typed. Formal. It was from her lawyer. She wanted half the value of the house. Claimed emotional distress. Said she was misled into believing I'd support her during the transition. She wanted spousal support. For the year she spent lying. There was a PS at the bottom, we can settle amicably. Or not. Your call. I called. But not the lawyer. I called someone else. Someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Someone she forgot I still had leverage on. Because this was never just about her betrayal. This was about the hidden life she didn't think I'd ever dig up. And now? Now I had a reason to open that vault. Update 2. Her lawyer was a boutique predator in a silk suit. One of those LinkedIn peacocks who writes posts about empowering women while billing $600 an hour to gut their husbands. The letter was civil. The tone was not. They called it a strategic dissolution. That's what they named the wreckage of my life. Like it was some PowerPoint slide with bullet points and upward arrows. She wanted spousal support. For 12 months of marriage. 9 of which I now know she spent building her escape hatch with a man who kept his Rolex in a humidor. The last line of the letter said this. It is in everyone's best interest to resolve this quickly and quietly. No, it wasn't. Because she'd forgotten something. Actually, a few things. First, she forgot the prenup. Drafted casually. Almost jokingly. We signed it over wine in the backyard with a friend of mine, not a lawyer, but a notary who now works for the state. At the time, she called it romantic. Said she never expected to need it. Second, she forgot the password manager we shared for 2 years. She'd stopped using it halfway through, but I hadn't. And I'm a creature of habit. So when I saw the notification that a forgotten device had resynced 2 weeks after she left, I took a look. And that's when I found the emails. The old account she didn't deactivate. The one she used for subscriptions and coupons and apparently covert job hunting. Buried in the trash folder, I found messages to recruiters. Not just one. Dozens. Most ignored. But 2 replied. One of them worked for her new boyfriend. She applied for a job at his company 4 months before she left. Position, executive assistant. 3 weeks later, the same guy starts liking all her Instagram posts. 1 month after that, he's Venmo-ing her money for brunch and yoga classes. Small amounts. Easy to overlook. And in that same timeline, she starts suggesting we spend some time apart. Wants to explore therapy but never calls a therapist. It wasn't spontaneous. It was a merger. And it gets worse. Buried even deeper in that email account was a folder called Future. Inside were drafts. Long, formatted documents. Like blog posts or Medium essays. Titles like, Why I Left My Emotionally Abusive Marriage. Starting over at 34, What Divorce Taught Me About Self-Worth. Dating After a Toxic Relationship. She'd written a narrative in advance. All time-stamped. All dated before she ever left. She was going to monetize her exit. Get alimony, get sympathy, get a book deal if the timing was right. My lawyer's face when I showed him? Pure rage. I've handled ugly, he said. But this is malignant. We filed our own letter the next morning. Attached the prenup. Submitted timestamps. Offered a $1 settlement just to twist the knife. Her lawyer called mine 3 hours later. He sounded shaken. She didn't disclose the prenup, he said. Of course not, my guy replied. Because she thought she was scripting a tragedy. Turns out she's the villain in a very expensive comedy. But that wasn't enough. Because then I remembered Samir. Samir was her coworker 3 years ago. Quiet guy. Moved back to India after some issues at the office. She always said it was HR politics. But now I wondered. I did some digging. Found Samir on LinkedIn. Messaged him. Didn't expect a reply. But he did. He said she ruined my life. He told me how she filed a complaint. Said he made her uncomfortable. HR launched a quiet investigation. Found nothing. But he got labeled. Frozen out. Stopped getting projects. Started getting looks. So he left. And guess who took his position? She did. A week later, she moved into our apartment. She used me as an alibi. She used everyone. I asked him if he had any documentation. He sent me the emails. He still had them. All of them. So I added Samir's folder to my own legal pile. And that's when I made the decision. I wasn't going to just defend myself. I was going to take her apart. Because she wasn't done yet. The next week, she posted on TikTok. Yes, TikTok. It was a crying video. Dark lighting. Rain in the background. Dramatic music. Caption, healing after narcissistic abuse is a full-time job. I'm not okay, but I'm trying. Hashtag divorce, hashtag emotional abuse, hashtag truth will out. Her followers ballooned. Thousands of comments. You're so brave. I left mine too. Stay strong, queen. She turned my silence into a stage. She made me the villain because I didn't fight back. So I fought. Legally. Socially. Systematically. I sent the email evidence to her lawyer, including timestamps. Filed a counterclaim for defamation and emotional damages. Pulled the shared financial history. Documented every purchase she made with the joint account after the date she left. Filed a request for arbitration. And then I did something cruel. But fair. I called her mother. They hadn't spoken in years. Always tension. But I remembered her mom once said, if she ever runs, call me. I've seen this before. So I did. And I told her everything. An hour later, her mother posted her own TikTok. Gray hair. No filter. Just raw truth. I didn't raise my daughter to lie like this. I'm sorry to everyone she's hurting. Especially her husband. He didn't deserve this. None of it. It went viral. The comments turned. Suddenly, the narrative cracked. People started digging. Finding inconsistencies in her story. Noticing the dates didn't line up. Realizing she'd posted grieving photos from Bali. Then the best thing happened. She went silent. Deleted comments. Turned off DMs. Disappeared. But the lawsuit didn't. Because 2 days ago, we got the final notice. Her legal team withdrew. No settlement. No court. Just a signed, notarized agreement. She gets nothing. No house. No car. No dog. And no more narrative. Just a chapter she won't be allowed to rewrite. When I came home last night, Biscuit was waiting at the door. Wagging. Limping a little. But alive. Safe. Mine. I sat down, made a steak medium rare, like I like it. Poured a glass of the wine she said tasted like cough syrup. Played my favorite record she never let me spin. And for the first time in months, I let the silence stay. Not because I needed it, but because she hates it. And now, it's all she has. Update 3. There's a strange kind of peace that settles in when your world stops needing explanations. When every lie's been aired out, every mask ripped, and the person who tried to script your downfall gets caught reading their own lines back into a void. But I wasn't done yet. Because as much as I wanted to close the book, a new page turned on its own. Last Monday, I got a call from Human Resources at her former company. Not mine, hers. Apparently, someone leaked parts of our legal case to the Corporate Ethics Board. Emails. Timeline breakdowns. Financial discrepancies tied to company funds used during executive retreats with her now ex. The one who fled to Europe? Turns out, not quite. He didn't vanish. He ran. He was under investigation. For misappropriation. For inappropriate conduct with subordinates. For exactly the pattern Samir hinted at, and she was central to it. She wasn't a victim in this one. She was an accessory. And now? She was implicated. The call was polite. Professional. They just wanted to confirm some details. I gave them everything. The dates. The Venmo logs. The email headers. I didn't have to embellish anything. The facts sang. 2 days later, another call. This one from a journalist. Not some tabloid blogger. A real investigative reporter. Said he was following a paper trail of workplace misconduct tied to execs weaponizing relationships to eliminate coworkers. Said my ex-wife's name came up more than once. I agreed to talk off record. Gave him Samir's info. Gave him the lawyer's letter, the fake essays, the TikToks. I even gave him a copy of the prenup, timestamped and notarized. Said if he needed more, I'd dig. He laughed. Most people want to run from a scandal. You're handing me a map. No, I said. I'm handing you a eulogy. Because this wasn't a story about heartbreak anymore. This was a blueprint. A case study in how manipulation, charm, and fake trauma had become currency. And she spent it all like it was someone else's. And now? The accounts were overdrawn. I thought that would be the end of it. But then the doorbell rang. It was a teenager. Nervous. Holding an envelope. Said he was a friend of someone who used to know her. Didn't give a name. Just handed me the envelope and left. Inside? Photos. Not new ones. Old ones. Me. Her. Smiling. At a wedding. On a boat. In Paris. All from her cloud account. She'd synced it years ago. Must have forgotten. They were printed. Annotated. Each one had a note scribbled across it in Sharpie. This is where I started hating myself. You were already gone here. He smiled more than I did. That scared me. The last photo was from our living room. Biscuit asleep on her lap. Me bringing coffee. The day we found out her sister was pregnant. A quiet, soft Sunday. On the back, just one word. Liar. I sat down. Let the photos fall across the table. It wasn't guilt I felt. It wasn't pity. It was a kind of sadness so sharp it almost made me nostalgic. Because at some point, a version of her loved me. At some point, I made her feel safe. But safety is boring when you crave drama. And now? She had her drama. Except no audience. A week passed. Then another. She didn't contact me. Didn't post. Didn't pop up at work. Until the voicemail. Blocked number. 72 seconds long. No words. Just her breathing. Tears. The sound of something smashing. A plate? A phone? And then quiet. It was the same quiet I'd been living with. Except I'd learned how to carry it. She hadn't. The next morning I filed a restraining order. Not because she was dangerous, but because I was done being accessible. Then I booked a flight. Not to escape. To visit Samir. We met in person, finally. At a cafe in Delhi. His smile was tired but real. He introduced me to his wife. His daughter. Told me how he rebuilt. How he tried to forget. I never thought I'd hear from you, he said. I never thought I'd become you, I replied. We talked for hours. About recovery. About justice. About how people like her only exist because silence is cheaper than confrontation. He gave me something before I left. A photo. An old office party. Her, in the background, looking at someone else's promotion with that same tight smile she gave me the night she said, "You'll never do better than me." I framed it when I got home. Not out of spite, but to remember what ambition without empathy looks like. What betrayal looks like before it has a name. And then, I did something final. I donated the prenup redacted to a legal nonprofit that helps men navigate predatory divorce setups. I wrote a short statement. Not bitter. Just clear. Make them sign it. Make them mean it. And if they ever forget, make them remember. Last week, I got a thank you letter from a guy in Kansas. Said my story helped him keep his house. That's enough for me. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't what you destroy. It's what you build. Now when I walk into my kitchen, I see Biscuit's new bed in the corner. My clean countertops. The record player spinning something slow. And a silence that doesn't ask for explanation. It just is. She took everything once. And still, I came out with more. Final update. She resurfaced last night. After months of silence. No posts. No sightings. Not even a new handle lurking in my followers. Then suddenly, there she was. Right in front of me. She was sitting alone at the end of the bar in a hotel downtown, same one we stayed in on our second anniversary. I wasn't there by accident. My company booked a mixer in the same ballroom we once slow danced under chandeliers like we were anything other than ticking. Her reflection hit me first. In the mirror behind the bar. And for a second, I didn't recognize her. Hair chopped short. Dye half grown out. Dark circles that no makeup dared touch. She looked like a widow haunting the memories she burned herself. She didn't see me. Not at first. But when I stepped closer, the flicker hit her face like static. She turned. Paused. Then, hey. Just that. Not, I'm sorry. Not, how are you? Just, hey. Like we were old co-workers bumping into each other at Target. I waited. Let the silence stretch. You look good, she said. Different. Healthier. I said nothing. I'm sober now, she added. Therapy twice a week. I journal. Still, I said nothing. Then she laughed. Once. Shaky. Do you hate me? I sipped my drink. I don't think about you enough to hate you. That hit harder than I thought it would. She winced. Pulled her cardigan tighter. I made a lot of mistakes. I thought if I left dramatically it would make it easier. Like ripping off a band-aid. It wasn't a band-aid, I said. It was a vein. You didn't rip it off. You cut it. She stared at her glass. It was empty. Still, she stirred the ice like it could conjure meaning. I lost everything, she whispered. The house. The job. Him. I nodded. Good. She flinched. You don't mean that. I leaned in. No, I do. And then, she smiled. Not the manipulative one. Not the flirty, crooked lie she wore like perfume. A real one. Broken. Honest. Empty. I'd believe that if you didn't still carry me in your voice. And just like that, the temperature dropped. She got up. Walked out without finishing her sentence. No dramatic exit. No scene. Just absence. I watched her reflection fade in the mirror. Then fade from the glass door. That's when I felt it. The final click. The chapter closing not with a bang, but with the clean snap of a door you no longer need to check twice. When I got home, Biscuit barked once at the sound of my keys. Rolled over. Waited for a belly rub like the world never changed. I sat on the floor next to him. Rubbed his ears. Whispered the things I never got to say during the storm. Then I did one last thing. I pulled out the card. Surprise. I'm leaving you tonight. The house, the dog, the car, they're mine now. I lit a match. Watched the paper curl into black lace. The smoke didn't smell like lavender anymore. It smelled like peace. And that's all I ever wanted. The end.